Now, I'm coming quickly to two cases. You know there's a duty to advise and assist requesters, particularly where information is refused on cost grounds. And this is what the Information Tribunal has said. Where an authority has refused a request on the grounds that it costs too much to find that information, instead of saying to someone, it's too much, go away, if you want to make a narrower request you may have better luck, the tribunal has said you should explain how you've calculated that cost and what the cost is, so people know whether the authority's just gone over the cost limit or they're vastly over. Because if you don't, the applicant doesn't know, how's the applicant going to get it right? Now, let me just give you this example of how that plays out in practice. A few years ago, there was a rather scandal over the City of London police accepting hospitality and gifts, free tickets, free premiere cinema tickets and so on from the Church of Scientology, exposed by the Daily Mail, by the press. And a requester has been making FOI requests to the Metropolitan Police for lists of gifts, hospitality and so on from the Church of Scientology and related organisations. And he's made this request over 5 years. And he's made this request to all 32 boroughs in London and to 7 divisions and management boards in the Metropolitan Police. And he's done it because he'd previously gone to the Met and said, can you please provide me this information for the whole Metropolitan Police Force? And the Met had said, this is a vast amount of information, we can't do it within the cost limit. What you could do is make individual requests to the individual boroughs. So that's what he's done. He's been refused, and so he's he's not had the information he wanted, and he's challenging this, and he's been told, we're not going to refuse this as repeat requests because we appreciate, we've advised you to go down this route. But if we add up all the 39 separate requests, you again exceed the £450 limit. So you're in trouble again. So this is from the Met. But look what they now say. We appreciate that you're in a catch-22 situation. We've told you to write individually, and now we're telling you that we're going to aggregate the individual ones. So under the duty to advise and assist, I'm going to provide information up to the limit. And I've gone through the management board and the directorates to find out what I can get you. But the limit has been reached just with the management board information on its own and the directorates without going to the boroughs. So this FOI officer has said, I'm not happy with that. And so to give you some information about what's happening at borough level, I've gone into the boroughs to try and get an extract from the boroughs of what they're doing. In each case, no information was held. But I'm showing you how that cost calculation has been worked out. And they show you who they've spoken to from the commissioner's private office downwards and how much time was spent, exactly in line with the tribunal's ruling. And here's the response from the guy. He's very grateful. He's very positive, as indeed I think any of us would be if we were in this position. As indeed I'm impressed having read about this, and I hope some of you will be impressed having read about this. Like, I'll just take 1 minute more if I may. Now, here's the other side of that coin. The What Do You Know website, through which people make FOI requests online, and which the information is published on that website online, and which a number of authorities are refusing to comply with the requests made via the website because the information will be published to the world. And it's their copyright, and they insist on a formal application to them for permission to publish the information, which they've released. Now, if this is part of a giant database which they are exploiting commercially, that's one thing. If this is an unpublished book which they're about to publish commercially, that's one thing. But this is applied to the most trivial pieces of information. How many of your officers enforce the smoking ban? You know, none. You know, it's a fragment of other people's responsibility. This information is copyright. How many parking tickets have you issued? So many. This information is copyright. You cannot publish it without our express permission. Otherwise, you're in breach of copyright and legal action may be taken against you. These threats appear in the correspondence. So here it is. This chap has asked for the internal deliberations which led this local authority to come to this view that it won't release the information to the site. And here is the response published on the site. We're prepared to send you this information the moment you send us your private email address. We'll send it to your private email address or your postal address. We won't put it on, we'll release it to whatyouknow.com because it may infringe copyright and our rights under the reuse regulations. Now, I think the reuse regulations have turned into a major obstacle to the proper flow of information in circumstances where there's no conceivable intellectual property content or commercial value to the information. Now, look at this final thing. A freedom of information cannot invalidate the Council's rights to control further use of its own information. You see, they're not talking about their intellectual property rights, they're talking about control. Now, we've seen from the MP's expenses on climate cake what happens to people who go too far down this road. You've seen from the Metropolitan Police what's the effect on the public and perhaps on you of somebody who handles this well, and I think you can see what's the effect of handling it badly. I think we need to sort this whole thing out, and that, I hope, will be one of the priorities of the new government as well. Thank you very much.